Alright, so we got this video here, The Truth Behind the $1 Trillion Man, the story of Dan Pena, created by a small YouTuber called Lawyer in a Hoodie. Right, Lawyer in a Hoodie. So go subscribe to this guy and let's get into it.
Dan Pena is a man of numbers. A review of his YouTube channel and his website makes one thing clear. He equates money with success. He
I do
previously
too.
claimed he was the $50 billion man, but now claims to be a $1 trillion man due to the equity or value created by those who attended his QLA seminars at Guthrie Castle.
Okay, so the QLA seminars at Guthrie Castle, right? He claims he's a $50 billion man. Now, that whole thing was just a gimmick, man. It was a gimmick to call yourself the $50 billion man. It was a good gimmick. It was a good gimmick because when he says, I'm the $50 million man, right? And you're watching this guy, you're listening to this guy, and you think to yourself, is he really worth 50 billion? And then you say, well, if he is, I'm going to listen to him because that's a hell of a lot of money. He must be doing something right. But then you find out that really he's not even worth 1% of that. Um, when you find that out, that he's not even worth 1% of that, it's kind of like he says, oh, that's the equity of my mentees. It's just, but that's not what, when you advertise yourself as a $50 billion man, that's not what you are giving the impression of.
Seminars that purport to teach exponential business growth in the shortest amount of time. Seminars that cost approximately £20,000 or over $24,000 at the time of this video.
Okay, so let's do the math here, okay? Let's look at this. So I can see Dan Pena, I can see his wife Sally. Is that his daughter? It looks like the way she's standing next to Sally, it looks like it's his daughter. I don't know who this is. I don't know who this girl is. Now, yes, the seminars are um, gender, any gender can go to the seminar and he dressed them up in kilts. You can see that. But let's just do a quick head count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 22, 23. So you got 23 guys and possibly two girls if I think that's a full seminar session. I think, you know, 23 or let's make it simple. Let's say 25, right? So £20,000 for a seminar, okay, times 25 students. To make it simple, let's just say he's doing 500 grand in revenue per seminar, okay?
But wait, how does a man who claims he has generated so much money become at risk of bankruptcy over £130,000? Could it be
Well,
that
that's the interesting thing, isn't it?
actually Dan Pena isn't worth the amount of money that he purports? And
I mean, he's never really been open and honest to say how much money he's worth.
could John Crestani's intuition be right about Dan Pena?
I don't know about John Crestani's intuition. I mean, you're saying in this fake guru debate with John Crestani and Coffeezilla, I think I watched this years back. This must be 3 or 4 years old, or even more. But are you saying that at this point he spoke about Dan Pena and he had an intuition? I don't know. But anyway, John Crestani is a con man anyway, so I don't
Independent
think it
information
matters.
regarding Dan Pena is hard to find. Even Tom
Absolutely.
Nash couldn't find much. But by the end of the video, you will be surprised about the things you will learn about the man Dan Pena, $1 trillion man.
$1 trillion man. Let's get into it, guys. This is going to be a good one.
Guthrie Castle is a historical landmark based in Forfar, Scotland. As beautiful as it looks, when Dan Pena bought the property,
It's a truly beautiful estate. I like Guthrie Castle. It's a beautiful estate. I look at the pictures of it and very nice castle.
was, in his words, full of dry rot, wet rot, and rising damp, and the grounds left completely overgrown.
Yep.
Now, with all this disrepair, why then did Dan Pena spend £700,000 to purchase the castle? Adjusted for inflation, that is the same as Dan buying the castle today for just over £2 million. It is because that
Which is an absolute steal. I don't care how much rot it's got. I don't care how much, issues it has. Adjusted for inflation, 2 million. You're not getting any castle for 2 million today.
Dan thought he had secured an agreement that all of these things will be sorted by the seller of the property. Only it did not work out that way. How do we know? Well, in November 1986, judgment in the case.
Wow, look at this. He's pulling out all the stops, bro. He got you the official court documents. Look at this. Court of Session 1986, November 13, Pena versus Ray. Pena versus Neil F.I. Ray.
Case of Peña and
This is
Ray
CoffeeZilla level of research.
was set down in the Scottish Court of Sessions. Details of the purchase price of Guthrie Castle was contained in the judgment. But that was not the worst part. Dan Peña lost the case and ultimately had to pay for the repairs to the castle in addition to the £700,000 he spent buying the property. With such expenditure, it is no surprise.
Dan Peña claimed that he's such a ruthless businessman and this and that, and what happened? He got conned on the Guthrie Castle case. Let's keep it real. I mean, the guy tricked Dan Peña. He tricked him. He pulled a fast one on him. Dan Peña lost the case in court. He pulled a fast one on Dan Peña. Now, you could say that was in 1986. Dan Peña's learned his lesson. Fair enough. I'm not going to hold that against him.
That Dan Peña would need to seek revenue streams. After all, according to Wikipedia, he only received $3.3 million in 1992 when he sued Great Western Resources.
Okay, so this is important, right? When it comes to the origin story of Dan Peña. Okay, so let me take the CC off for a second, right? So he was part of Great Western Resources, right? He says he was the president of the company in 1992. Now, he talks about this. He took Great Western Resources to $850 to $450 million, right? But he had a lot of investment. From what I know, Dan Peña only had a 10% share of Great Western Resources. From what I know, I could be wrong, but that's what I've seen. He had a 10% share of Great Western Resources. What happened was one of the major shareholders was the Kuwaiti government. Okay, and the Kuwaiti government, Kuwait was invaded by Saddam Hussein. I think in 1918, was it 89 or 90? Doesn't matter, but it was a bit before, I think it was 1990, but it was a bit before. You see, in 1992, he was ousted as the president, okay, unlawfully, okay? So he sued the company and got 3.3 million. That's all Dan Peña got out of the business. Dan Peña didn't leave Great Western Resources with 450 million, as he likes you to believe. He doesn't directly say it, but he wants you to get that in your head that this man left Great Western Resources with 450 million because he's a one-trick pony. Dan Peña is a one-trick pony, man. Yes, 3.3 million. You were unfairly treated. You were unlucky. Okay, that Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait. Dan Peña was unlucky. I give him credit for that. He took 3.3 million in 1992. Okay, that's a lot of money back then. But he's not this big businessman that he tries to sell to you. Why is it not playing?
When he sued Great Western Resources. So, Guthrie Castle began hosting two types of events. One of joy, these being weddings, and the other,
weddings.
One of anger, known as the Quantum Leap Advantage QLA seminars. The QLA seminars were started in 1993. Those QLA seminars are expensive training sessions.
The QLA seminars were started in 1993. That's important.
Estimated to be about £20,000.
They're £20,000 around about now. Okay, they're around about £20,000 now, but before they were cheaper.
It is a lot of money for what I believe is a course that teaches things widely available on the internet. To make things...
Well, to be fair to Dan Peña, he does admit that it's all available on the internet for free. He does admit that.
Worse, it is well known that during some of these seminars, Dan Peña will shout out abuse at people, so people are essentially paying for him to abuse them. In fact, he is proud of the fact. Such is his reputation that students at Exeter University protested against him when he attended the campus to present there.
And his university, his university speeches are actually quite tame. They're quite tame. They're not as over the top and as aggressive and as insulting as his actual seminars. His seminars are, obviously his bread and butter, and that's where you get that you're a CUNT, and here's some BJ cream, rub it on your snatch.
But Dan isn't the abusive tyrant he purports to be. Oh no, after all,
Dan Pena, I saw the guy crying at the induction ceremony. If you watch, because I used to watch the seminars, I don't remember who was inducting. I think it may have been Brian Rose or somebody like that. But he was crying at the induction ceremony. Dan Pena's got a soft side to him. He's a softie at heart.
In 2003, he opened Guthrie Castle for weddings, and it is difficult to
that's
tie in
Guthrie Castle. I like Guthrie Castle. It's a truly beautiful estate.
The fact that the man who uses the C word so often can be the same man helping couples to have the greatest day in their life. And by help, this isn't income generating help. No, this is a suffer financial loss level of help. Within the UK, all company accounts are publicly available. The amount of information that needs to be published depends on the size of the company, but whatever the size of the company, there is a need to publish profit and loss and the balance sheet.
Absolutely.
All this information can be found at Companies House website. All you need to know is the name of the company, company number, or the name of a director.
It's simple, just put down Peña in there.
By law, all of this information must be public. So let's look at the company records of Guthrie Castle Limited, which has company number 03196-600. Now, before it adopted the name Guthrie Castle Limited in July 2003, the company was known as DSP Seminars Limited, DSP being the initials for the name Daniel Stephen Peña. So we know we're on the right track. The change of company name was just 1 month before Guthrie Castle opened, so we know the costs associated with the renovation were done and dusted by 2003.
That's a long time. If it did take until 2003, from 1986, that's what, 17 years, man.
We can see that Dan Peña is currently a director of Guthrie Castle Limited, in which he is a person with significant control. A person of significant control is someone that holds more than 25% of shares or voting rights in a company, has the right to appoint or remove the majority of the board of directors, or otherwise exercises significant influence or control. A quick look at the terms and conditions page of Dan Peña's website shows clearly that Guthrie Castle Limited owns everything related to QLA. What does this
Absolutely.
mean? It means that all relevant financial information related to the business of seminars and wedding venues is available through the company's filing records, including the accounts. An analysis of Guthrie Castle Limited's company accounts reveals the financial health of the company in any given year. For example, in 2014, Guthrie Castle Limited lost £1.9 million.
I mean, that's crazy. I mean, how is he losing £1.9 million here? What is he spending it on? That's a crazy thing. But if he's losing £1.9 million, he's losing it. 2014, the seminars were in full swing, so I think they were cheaper. They probably were about 10,000 back then, maybe, but or maybe 15,000. I'm surprised that he's losing that much. You'd think the business would be sustainable by then.
At today's value, that loss would have been 2.6 million.
See that? In just 10 years, it's already gone from 1.9 to 2.6, adjusted for inflation, and that's another topic, but you can see the difference is a lot.
Guthrie Castle Limited only remained a going concern through funding by Dan Peña himself and funding by the Guthrie Group. Remember the name Guthrie Group? We'll come back to that later. In that very same year, Guthrie Castle owed over 2.7 million to creditors, and all that money was due within the year. Replicating that analysis from 1996 to 2022, the last year of filed company accounts, we can see the performance of Guthrie Castle Limited.
Let's have a look.
Let's look at a graph produced from the financial results of Guthrie Castle Limited. From From 1996 to 2017, Dan Peña's company lost a total of £17.09 million over a period of 21 years.
That is insane, bro. You see that? 17 million over 21 years, bro. I mean, it wasn't making any money, this so-called company, this Guthrie Castle Limited, DSP Seminars, whatever you want to call it. It's called Guthrie Castle Limited now anyway, but his seminar business, and prior to, I think, 2000, what? Did he say 14? It was including the wedding business as well, both under the same company.
Evidenced by the company's published accounts. Perhaps it does make sense that a loss of 130,000.
Also, it wasn't 2017. He was doing weddings in 2017.
Pounds in 2017 from the fraud of one of his employees could have led the company being wound up.
So I don't know if you guys read this story. I've read it before. You Google Dan Peña, it comes up. So this is basically a story where, because he used to do weddings at Guthrie Castle, and this one guy, he basically stole 130,000 from Dan Peña. Was it from Dan Peña or was it from either way? I mean, he's stealing it from him. If he stole it from Dan Peña or he stole it from the bride and groom, he's stealing it from Dan Peña. But that's the thing, that money was putting the entire company in jeopardy. Dan Peña was pretty much, pretty much broke, man. Like, I don't want to say too much, but I mean, the guy was struggling. Let's keep it real.
£1,000 in 2017 from the fraud of one of his employees could have led the company being wound up.
Yeah, that could have led the company being wound up.
For fair disclosure, Guthrie Castle has been turning a profit more recently, registering a profit of approximately £8.4 million in 2022. However,
Okay, so that's at the £8.4 million in 2022. Okay, now we already established that he's taken around, give or take, 500,000 in revenue, okay, per seminar. Okay, he's raking in around 500,000 per revenue in revenue, per seminar. Okay, now how does that add up to 8.4 million? You might say, well, he's just going to do, God knows, let's say 20 seminars a year, 17, 18 seminars a year. He could make that much in revenue. But he does not do that many seminars. I mean, I went to his website and the next seminar is July and August, and we're in April. So if he's not doing even one seminar a month, from what I can see, how would he generate a profit of 8.4 million off of seminars? It doesn't make sense to me. I cannot see how, maybe I'm missing something, but I just don't, the numbers don't add up.
Over a period of 26 years, Dan Peña's company has returned just £7.2 million to him. The company only became profitable after Guthrie Castle stopped being a wedding venue, despite many people spending up to £19,000 for its use. So Dan Peña's profit.
So we can look at that and we can see that the wedding venue was not where the real money was. The real money was ramping up on the seminars. Okay, and as he says,
profit does not come from doing business, but rather teaching business. Imagine all those losses.
So not doing business, but rather teaching business. Okay, doesn't do business. Dan Peña ain't done business since 1992. I mean, even before that, really. But what business is he doing? What business is he running? I don't see any. The creator of this video doesn't see any apart from the seminars, but he's teaching. So I don't know where this whole but even Dan Peña says that. Anyway, let's keep going.
Over those years were just for the benefit of the brides to be and the business people to be.
So he's kind of making fun of him there. He's basically saying that, Dan Peña wasted all of his time to make, you know, over the course of what, let's say 21 years. If we go from, yeah, 21 years, over the course of 21 years, he hasn't really generated that much. And most of the years were losses. So basically, just the benefit was the people who got married at Guthrie Castle,
benefit of the brides to
and
be and the
he's
business
saying the business people to be, but how many of these guys are even successful? I mean, the people who are successful under Dan Pena, do not have a good reputation at all, especially people like Brian Rose, who appeared on CoffeeZilla. Um, Many people will call him a scammer. I don't like Brian Rose. I did like him at one point, but I really don't like Brian Rose. Um, People like who else? Dan Locke, again, has a reputation of a poor reputation as a scammer. Um, you know, Dan Locke is not popular anymore, but he used to say, "I'm the boss in the Bentley." He got 4 million subscribers. He's a big student of Dan Pena. Then you got guys that you probably don't know about, guys like Shakir Hussain, you know, another student of Dan Pena. Uh, if you Google Shakir Hussain, he runs the Wealth Academy. Again, if you read about him, he has a reputation, a very poor reputation, and people call him a scammer as well. So, you got to understand that Dan Pena, as far as I see, eh, and another thing, he takes credit for. Now, the reason why he calls himself the $1 trillion man, some of you guys might know this, but probably don't know this. So, there's a guy called Klaus Kleinfeld, okay, a German guy. Now, Klaus Kleinfeld, very successful guy, okay. He was the former CEO of Siemens, okay, Siemens AG. You know that company? They're like a technology company, right? Um, German technology company, big company. Their revenues are in the tens of millions. Um, and he was the CEO of that company. So very, very successful dude. And Dan Pena claims that he went to the seminar. Okay, I don't know if he did, but Dan Pena says that Klaus Kleinfeld went to the seminar. And this guy, Klaus Kleinfeld, he was the director of the Neon Project. The Neon Project is the super city that they're building in Saudi Arabia. So Dan Pena says, this is the biggest deal in history, $500 billion. And he said that Klaus Kleinfeld being the director, okay, he's taking credit for that 500 billion deal, okay, for the NEOM initiative in Saudi Arabia. So that's how he boosted it up to $1 trillion. You guys tell me what you think about that, but this is the kind of guy that Dan Pena is. He'll take that and say, I take credit for that because he allegedly attended a seminar, Dan Pena.
people to be. You will recall that earlier that Guthrie Castle remained an ongoing concern thanks to Dan Pena and the Guthrie Group. The Guthrie Group is an interesting entity. Its WordPress website, though, gives the appearance that it's no longer a going concern. You can see that there are a number of broken links, outdated text such as Dan Pena referring to just $50 billion of equity, and reference to people who are no longer registered
Is it
with
even that much? You can't trust anything this guy says.
the UK's legal regulator. Not a great impression for the Guthrie Group, a supposedly multi-million-dollar company in the US.
This website is just a placeholder website full of rubbish. That's all it is, just a placeholder website.
Say,
USA
of course,
company.
the contact telephone number for the Guthrie Group is not an American number, it is a UK number. The same UK number that is registered on wedding venue sites for Guthrie Castle.
Of course it is. Of course it is the same as on Guthrie Castle because that's all, he's only running seminars as far as we can see. All he's running is seminars.
So despite being a man of numbers, Dan Pena would not like the numbers that fall out of the publicly available records.
He's
As a
mocking
man
Dan
who
Pena,
purports
bro.
to drive the wealth of his students, he failed to drive
You
his
see
own
that? You see that? He failed to drive
wealth
his
for a
own
significant
wealth,
period of
bro.
time. Sure, his company's now
Shit, let's play that again, bro. Let's play that again, because you guys need to really
the
understand this,
numbers
bro.
that fall out of the publicly available records. As a man who purports to drive the wealth of his students,
Yeah, drive the wealth. He talks about generational wealth in the shortest period of time. Look at the numbers. Look at the 90s, all the way up to the 2018, 2017. The guy was in the red. You know, the guy was running a business in the red. And he's talking about, generational wealth in the shortest period of time. Look at these guys. This is what I'm telling you about these guys, these YouTubers, man. They're all selling, they're all lying about the reality. All of them. I can't see any one of these guys that's legit. Even Dan Pena is more legit than a lot of these other guys. They're all frauds, man. I'm telling you. Stop listening to these guys talking about how much money they're making. They're not making the kind of money that they're saying they're making.
he failed to drive his own wealth for a significant period of time.
Wow, he failed to drive his own wealth. He's mocking Dan Pena. He's mocking him.
Sure, his company is now generating a profit of over £8 million in the last audited financial year. But would you spend 26 years of your life investing £17 million?
26 years, that's a long time, bro. That's like 1/3 of most people's life.
Just for the return of an investment of £7.2 million.
Wow.
Remember, Dan's website states that his course focuses on exponential business growth in the shortest amount of time. By looking at Dan Pena's history and his experience as a teacher, I'm reminded of a saying: those who can, do. Those who can't, teach. Thank you for watching. Please remember to...
This was an expose, bro. This was an expose on Dan Pena. He went in on Dan Pena, bro. And this is the truth. Those who can do and those who can't teach. I mean, what business has he been running since 1993? Apart from seminars and wedding planner business, what has he been doing? As far as we can see, he hasn't been doing anything. But this is what I'm saying. And I knew Dan Pena was a fraud when he said this. He said, okay, I stopped doing business because it was too easy to make money as a businessman. So I stopped doing that because it's more challenging for me to get you guys, and he's talking to his mentees, across the line. I mean, come on now. Anybody who's buying that BS, you deserve to lose your money and you deserve to stay poor. Sub to this guy's channel, Lawyer in a Hoodie. Fantastic video. I hope you come back to YouTube because this was a real good video, especially where you managed to get the records. Okay? The Court of Session from 1986. I don't know how you found that, but that's CopyZilla level detective work. So thanks for the video. It's Unreal Man here, the truth of man. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe if you aren't already. Make sure to hit that notification bell so you're informed every time I upload a new video.